It's time once again for another thrilling episode of Markout Radio. For the next hour, sit back, pull the stick out of your ass, and enjoy. Be warned though, smarks and internet know-it-alls will be offended, annoyed, and generally pissed off at what's about to happen to your ear holes. You've been warned. Now, Markout Radio.
That's right. Welcome back to Markout Radio Goes Nitro. Peeking all over the place. Episode 37 for May 27, 1996, out of the Macon Coliseum, Macon, Georgia. Hosted by Larry Zbyszko, Tony Schiavone, Eric Bischoff, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Last night, WWF In Your House 8 had 6,000 people in attendance, but the power went out. So on May 28th, they had Night 2, which was free if you bought the first pay-per-view. If you didn't, it was $30 instead of the regular $50. Well, get it anyways. May 28 had 4,500 people in attendance and featured 2 pre-tape matches on the Titantron for the live audience. Tonight, though, Nitro had 4,309 in attendance. 1,811 of them actually paid to be there, and Nitro drew a 2.8 to Raw's 2.3. We're 3 weeks out from the Bash. Kind of looking forward to this, if I'm honest, but we've got a few more Nitros to see before then. Tonight, though, this is it. The infamous start to the Monday Night War, according to Eric Bischoff. Obviously, when you watch the network, it's easy to see that most rational people, and even Vince, consider Start of the War to be when Nitro actually went on the air. But from this point forward, we're going to, according to everyone now, be at war. The shot over the bow, the snide passive-aggressive commentary, that's all about, well, that's about to get turned up to 11. First, get this out of the way here. I love the announcing pairing of Zbyszko and Schiavone. I know it's probably because I grew up watching Saturday Night on TBS, and these are my formative wrestling years, but fuck it. There's just something awesome about a face and a heel combo where both commentators know what moves are called and have great on-air chemistry. Yes, I know Larry doesn't like Tony at the time, but that's not making this point null. It just proves how professional these two are at their jobs. Yes, I'm marking out for commentators. God. Nitro makes this transition to a 2-hour format 1 week after Raw did, but, I mean, Nitro was the first to do it live, so let's not split hairs. It looks sort of rough. It took balls to put on a 1-hour television show live back in the 90s. I know, like, everybody on fucking YouTube does it now, but once upon a time, it took an awful lot of production timing and skill, and Jesus Christ, I mean, moving it to 2 hours, Jesus, that's a tall fucking order. And listen, it's spoiler alert, the first time out of the gate here wasn't awesome. But I mean, still, putting together a solid 2 hours of live wrestling television, Jesus Christ, Kevin Dunn never managed to pull that one off.
Fuck you, go away and die and leave us wrestling fans to our fucking enjoyment, Kevin Dunn, you motherfucker.
Now on with Nitro. Oh my God, Schiavone kicks it off with Larry for R1. Most of the banter going on between these two was going to be about the match going on in the ring or the feuds of those wrestlers that were in the ring. It was a nice change. First bout on the first 2-hour Nitro is Anderson and Flair with Miss Elizabeth and Woman defeating the American males. I mean, I thought if I hesitated long enough, you'd get that down, but apparently not. All right, anyways. That one, in 12 minutes, 59 seconds, Flair and Anderson defeat them. Give that one 3.5 out of 5. That was, that was the highlight of the night. Jesus Christ, it really was. New ring gear for the males, probably the longest TV time the males have ever been given. American males. I do love that Zbyszko throws the young face team under the bus. I mean, fuck, he's a great heel commentator. We get a commercial break during this match. I mean, at least we did get 8 minutes of show before a break, so it could have been a lot worse. I still hate breaks during matches. Tony and Larry get some champagne delivered. Larry, of course, puts it over as classy. Post-match, Gene does a promo at the VIP section with Flair and Anderson, Woman, and Liz. Anderson's part was great. Flair's was a little unhinged, but it put over the McMichael Green program. The problem here is that despite being athletes, this is an attraction match. I don't think they shy away from this stuff. It's having celebrities show up and do wrestling. It's a WCW gimmick. And don't get me wrong, WWF tries to pull this off once in a while as well. The problem, though, is that they're still, despite being athletes, not trained professional wrestlers. And so it almost always fucking sucks. I mean, Lawrence Taylor's a prime example of that. But anyways, Liz is at least a little bit sober during this, and she's sober enough to deliver her single line in this promo. And Gene cuts off Flair's final line, probably to avoid getting another FCC fine. After this, we get a workout montage. Oh my fuck, is it bad? I mean, first I thought I was having a seizure, and then I realized this was on purpose. This was just a shitty 90s promo package. Second, the amount of weights being lifted. Now listen, if you go around YouTube a little bit, you can find fitness YouTubers throwing each other under the bus for using fake weights. And listen, don't get me wrong, that can be entertaining in and of itself. But this was before YouTube. This was when the internet was in its infancy, and we've got Mongo McMichael putting the pin for the squat machine to the whole stack, which is 400 pounds on this machine. Which, don't get me wrong, most of the machines max out at 400 to 500 pounds because the cables can only carry so much. Now, in 1996, when I was 17 years old, I couldn't do that. By the time I was Mongo's age, though, I could. It's not an impressive feat to squat 4 bills as a linebacker. Have you seen what those fucking monsters can squat with free weights? Anyways, instead of squatting the full stack, the camera pans out a little bit and shows us squatting half of that. And of course, later on in the promo, Green is going to be asking Mongo to, put the pin for his stack. And, I need to ask, the whole stack? Yep, the whole stack. We can't tell, though, if it's the whole stack because the cameraman is wisely keeping it zoomed in pretty much so we can see their nose hairs. I did see a couple of 100-pound rows. That's respectable for a wide receiver or a cornerback. But again, these are 2 linebackers. These are supposed to be big motherfucking football players. 100-pound one-arm rows. Come on, man. Come on. I understand it's for a training montage, but if you're going to do these things, get the cameraman in on the gimmick so that he doesn't ruin your spot, because it literally looks like 2 40-year-old, 38-year-old NFL guys that are either in the twilight of their career or finished their career, basically doing a video to tell teenagers to fuck off. I understand that their prime audience right now is effectively teenagers, but good God, that's fucking sad. Anyways, after this, we get a singles match. Steve Dahl versus the Mauler with Colonel Robert Parker. This ends in a no contest at the 5-minute mark. I mean, as a match, this gets a 1 out of 5. As a lead up to arguably one of the most infamous promos of the 90s, 5 out of 5. Now, Steve Dahl comes out rocking generic singlet number 3 to put on a full jobber appearance. Fun fact, Mr. Dahl here was part of the jobber tag team that broke in the Blade Runners back in 85. And yes, the Mauler is Mike Enos. He's got shitty intro music and a fairly pronounced beer belly at this point, but he does work the crowd well. We get a commercial break. Now again, the match is only 5 minutes long, but whatever. Really, the whole point of the commercial break was to give us as much as time as humanly possible to allow what's about to happen to go uninterrupted. Anyways, Scott Hall comes down to the ring. Everyone leaves the ring. The wrestlers leave the ring. Fucking Colonel Parker leaves the ring. The ref leaves the ring. Don't get me wrong, Shivani and Zbyszko put it over, staying there, being super duper uncomfortable. And Scott Hall declares war. I'm not quite sure who's declaring war for or against, because of course this is all being done very kayfabe. So I guess he's declaring war of the NWO versus WCW, even though technically speaking, this is the Monday Night War stuff. It's very confusing what war we're talking about here, but it's probably confusing because the people that talk about it are confused by it. I think it's one of those gimmicks that turned into a shoot. Anyways, after that, we get a commercial break. Back from break, announcers are still befuddling and stomping all over themselves. But that being said, DDP and Sergeant Craig Pittman did actually put on a very good match. Not very good match. A decent match. It was a really shit Nitro, and the fans, for some strange reason, were just fucking on their asses. I don't know. Too many sweet teas? I don't know. Anyways, their match was 3 minutes, 1 second. 2.5 out of 5. It was I don't know. It was a match. That's about all I can say about it. Some highlights, of course. The beginning of the match, before the bell rings, DDP does some push-ups. Then Pittman decides to show him up by doing a single-arm plank and then turning his shoulder in a little bit. I know that the attempt was to do a one-arm push-up, but it didn't quite work. And he can do them. It just didn't work. And of course, the end of the match, Pittman did sell the living hell out of the Diamond Cutter. After this, we get a crazy Randy Savage promo. It's about 12 octave levels lower than the live broadcast, but eventually the levels came up a bit to like just 6 levels under the live broadcast. A point here that I found really entertaining was there's like the announcer that's in the background can barely be heard over the fucking rockin' tune that's being played. But this came through loud and clear. Macho's money has been thrown in the trash. And when I look at what happens on the screen, it's Liz giving wads of money to fans at ringside. I mean, I don't know who wrote the fucking script that this guy did or who edited it together, but both of them don't think very highly of wrestling fans. All right, after that, we get a pre-taped Gene promo with Shark. He's been tossed out of the dungeon. That's still a thing? After that, you get a Hogan promo. He's been fundraising all over the country for the last month. So WCW execs, don't look at his contract and wonder why you're paying him to not be there for 4 weeks, okay? Okay. Hour 2 starts with Ken and Bobby. Excuse me? Eric and Bobby. And Eric has a message for a guy that we're not going to talk about. Anytime, anywhere. Fucking nerd. Anyway, in his first book, Controversy Creates Cash, he claimed that he didn't know Hall was going to be there, but took advantage of the appearance. Yeah. That's why the wrestlers fled the ring. Robert Parker practically fucking threw his hip out trying to run out of the ring area. The live camera was stuck on Hall like glue, but he just took advantage of it. Of course. In his second book and in his podcast, he wisely changes his story. But fuck's sakes, how much of a mark for yourself do you have to be to try to put this fucking shit over? Anyways, again, probably not thinking highly of wrestling fans. Just throwing that out there. Back to the matches. We get, I guess, what's the main event for hour 1? Now, to be fair here, this is what WWF was doing. The Raw and Raw is War. All that shit, they would have 2 basically 1 hour shows, and you'd have a main event for the first hour show. You'd have a main event for the second hour show. Now they don't do that anymore. Now the hour and a half mark for Raw is like a solid high point mid card match or whatever. But like back when this was first getting off the ground, it's almost like they were shooting 2 shows. Like it's so much so that both companies would have the copyright scrawl on the bottom left or bottom right of the screen to mark that 1 hour point. It was very odd, but I don't exactly understand why. Maybe just shoot me an email if you know why. mlrmarkout@gmail.com. If you know why, shoot me an email. I'm always happy to get emails from you crazy animals. Anyways, this is the WCW World Heavyweight title match. The Giant with Jimmy Hart defeats the Shark in 4 minutes, 1 second. Jesus.
0.0.
Listen, I empathize. I understand what's going on here. You're building a monster heel champion. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, holy fuck, was this ever a fucking squash match against the guy that's bigger than he is, like heavier than he is, and almost as tall as he is? But basically, it's a squash match with a haircut at the end, which is apparently the most disgraceful thing that a wrestler can do to another wrestler, according to Eric Bischoff. Like, he'd fucking know. Now, during this match, we're not going to talk about Scott Hall or even say his name. Actually, as annoying as this gets, it's actually kind of clever. It puts over what's actually happening as an invasion. So, I don't want to give him kudos, but good job stumbling into a fucking win. After the WCW World Television title match, Luger defeats Maxx with 2 X's. Because if you're not extreme enough, you put another X in your name. In 5 minutes, 45 seconds... I gave that 1 out of 5. Maxx is a power plant creation. Basically, he's a bodybuilder who competed on bodybuilding circuit. Obviously not natural. But then, of course, he went to go become a wrestler because, of course, if Luger can do it, then obviously anybody can do it. Arguable on both sides. Anyways, he looks good from a distance. And that's about as nice as I can be about this roided up monkey. Anyways, post-match, we get a Gene promo reviewing how Lex got a shot at the world champ at the Bash and how he got put through the VIP table last week. After this, we've got a singles match. Holy jobber heaven. Bobby Walker defeats Brad Armstrong in 4 minutes 26. 1.5 out of 5 for the score on that one. Another power plant graduate in hard work Bobby Walker, except that he graduated from the power plant 7 fucking years ago. So when the commentators put him over as a power plant graduate, I'm thinking, oh yeah, he graduated from the power plant like in the last year or so. Like he's pretty put together for a guy that just, got out of the power plant within the last couple of years. I mean, he's green, but only a year or two wrestler. Fuck, he's pretty good. Go to look it up. Holy fuck, he graduated from the fucking power plant in 89. He's been wrestling for the last 7 years. Jesus Christ. And never mind the Brad Armstrong fucking mediocre ham and egg or not. Jesus Christ. After that, we get a commercial break and the WCW magazine promo. And then following that, Lord Steven Regal with Jeeves defeats Alex Wright in 10 minutes, 18 seconds. I gave that one 3 out of 5. It was good. I liked it. I mean, I liked it so much that it was the best Alex Wright has looked. I know it sounds harsh, but it really is. 3 minutes into the match, we get another commercial break with a Glacier promo done like it's an ad for the movie Hackers. And then back from break, Regal starts yelling at the live cam about wrestlers coming in from other companies, and the announce team totally ignores it because they were busy talking about Kevin Green, who has nothing to do with this match at all. We got a PlayStation replay of the cheating ending here. Again, not put over by the commentators, but clever and awesome. I always love the subtle cheating. Flair does it. Regal does it really, really well. I like these two when they do the subtle cheating wins, and it works. But it works better if the fucking commentators put it over. Post-match, Gene's in the ring to do a promo with Regal. Regal calls Gene a toad and then cuts off his reply before calling Wright Jr. Adolf. Fucking gold. Regal challenges the face-painted clown Sting to a match for respect and notoriety. After that, we get a commercial break followed by Steiner versus Sting, your main event. It goes to a double DQ in 10 minutes, 16 seconds. I gave it 2 out of 5. The crowd is pretty much exhausted at this point. The wrestlers are struggling to get them into this match, and it looks like a lot of generic crowd noise is being piped into the arena because actual pops didn't sound like the ambient noise that was always there. Obviously, you can't keep booking Steiner versus Sting and Luger without having Sting and Luger drop the straps at some point, but apparently we're not going to be doing that. So instead, we're going to get this singles main event on the first 2-hour live Nitro. By the way, if you're keeping score at home, Flair to open, Sting to close, no Hogan or Macho to speak of on the whole show. Just let that hang out there for a little while. Fans couldn't care less that there's a schmoz in the ring after the match is over. Basically, Rick and Lex Luger came down to the ring, and a bunch of other wrestlers came back, 2 or 3 guys to hold back every other guy. Fans popped for about the first 3.5 seconds and then gave up. And they only popped again when the commentators were recapping the show, and Hall comes out and does the "We're taking over" promo. Only thing that would have made this better is to shut the fuck up and let Hall talk, and then fade to black with no reply. Instead, Eric kept saying, "Who's we," which is fine the first time, but when you keep saying it over and over again, we all know who you're talking about. We all know you mean that Scott Hall's here from the WWF to invade. you don't. But the more you repeat it, you might as well just fucking go out and say the World Whining Federation sent you here, didn't they? Like, Jesus. As much as it pains me to say it, this was actually a garbage Nitro. I don't know if everyone just stopped caring about the book and focused on Hall's arrival or what the fuck happened. It gets a total mediocre 2.5 out of 5 right across the board. And it sucks because really it's technically the introduction of one of the big founding members of the NWO. So this should have really been a great show. But those promos and the Flair Anderson American Males match were really the highlights. It sucks. It sucks that those are your... Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that the Hall promos were highlights. And the Flair Anderson American Males match was very good. I thought when I was going to re-watch these things that I thought there was more to this Nitro than there was. I must have just fucking built it up in my head or something, which I think is something that wrestling fans in general can often be accused of.
Well, that was an abortion of a show. Should the mood take you, check out markoutradio.com and leave a comment. You can also find links there to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Stitcher channels. You can even leave a voicemail on our Skype. Just click the links and share them.